Yeah, I like the young Knicks guys. Quentin Grimes look great. Emmanuel Quickly look great. RJ always looks great. I buy and own a lot of sports memorabilia and basketball cards. So, the prospects that I've, invested in, there are certain guys whom I'll be watching very closely. Yeah, those are the things that I look for.
So talk about that a little bit. I don't know much about
Yeah.
the trading card industry.
Sure.
I had Pokemon cards when I was a kid.
Hopefully you kept them.
I don't know where they are. It's like Beanie Babies, which mean nothing now, right?
Except for the Princess Diana.
I have that one.
I know too much. There are two variations of the Princess Diana Beanie Baby. One is worth $10,000. One is worth like $50. It's all based on like the type of pellet that was on the inside. Yeah.
It's the purple one, right?
It's
with the little one. Like rose.
Yeah, you have one of two versions.
Okay.
Yeah.
so I need to figure out if it's worth $10,000 or $50.
Yeah, basically.
Anyway, okay, so I guess what I'm saying is my collectibles knowledge kind of ends there at Beanie Babies and Pokemon cards.
You're at the perfect time for like 1999 Pokemon cards, which is first edition.
I had Charizard. I remember that was a big one. I know that there's levels to Charizard also.
First edition Shadowless base set, second generation.
Okay. So fill me in on the sports side.
So on the sports side, especially before it has become super popular during COVID, there were people who put, $1,000 into Giannis in his rookie season, where that ballooned into being worth $1 million. Because, literally, and I did this myself, I bought $1 Giannis Prism rookie cards for $1, got them graded.
When he was a rookie?
When he was a rookie, 2014.
Okay.
Yeah, I bought them not because I thought he was going to be this great player. I was buying a lot of players, and I thought it was funny how his last name stretched around the back of the card.
Antetokounmpo.
Yeah, Antetokounmpo, and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope for the same reason. But, those cards went from being worth $1 to being worth $5,000 each. That's a pretty, significant increase on demand of both Giannis and on sports cards at large. They're, both factors in terms of that, but yeah, there were real arbitrages back in the day, and even now, or 2019, when people spent $50 buying a Luka Doncic Prism rookie that's now worth a few thousand. These are real opportunities for people who are able to pick out talent like a scout. So like picking stocks for the most part.
So you're somebody who pays attention then to draft and to what kids are coming up.
Yeah, it's harder to now because everybody is. So I look at more ancillary things. So whether it be like game-worn jerseys from a specific game that I think will have career significance, or, tickets from those specific games. Yeah.
Which, this is like getting really deep, but it's just impressive to me, I guess, that you have so much going on just in obviously the forward facing things like the broadcast side and your Buster show and Hoops Nation and the Crew League and these separate things. But then at the same time, you're spending so much of your time obviously doing a little bit of research on like what's going on in this scene as well, and kind of investing your money back into this, but then also investing your money into other companies and talking to these 40-year-old mentors here and these lawyers here. So it's impressive that you've been able to do all of this.
Well, it's funny because it's like 90% of my time on a day-to-day basis is researching and making content about collectibles and working out. It's pretty much all I do on a day-to-day basis. And the other stuff is just like, I have to sacrifice 2 days of not doing collectibles to do this?
Yeah.
All right, fine.
Yeah.
It's more that than anything else. And on the investment front, the great thing about that is it's incredibly passive. It's a decision in time. So like Pop-Up Bagels, the first company I invested in, it started in my hometown in Connecticut, and they do on-demand bagels. So they drop a link like it's Supreme on a Tuesday, it sells out, and you go pick up your dozen bagels and like these great schmears on a Saturday. And now they're like spreading across the country, and they just raised a new round, which is exciting. But that was a decision in time, and I help them when I see things, I share things when I see things, I send it to people. But very little time, energy goes into most of those investments, other than when I can help. But that's usually a text, and it's not like a text takes.
Well, it's you being a good decision maker and an informed decision maker.
Yeah, if it works
to
out.
put it down to the most basic.
Yeah, definitely. And that, comes with experience. And like, I trust, like I mentioned Darren earlier. Darren was the one who introduced me to Pop-Up Bagels, and he invested with me. So, it was like,
Cool.
All right, if you trust certain people, then everything gets a lot easier as well.
So for the future, just last thing on the trading cards, where do you see the future of that going into 2022 and beyond? I mean, we're doing so much, even with the NFT space. I'm seeing a lot of even tickets when you go to sporting events, they're turning those into NFTs.
Yeah, I think the future of tickets are as NFTs, not the other way around. Not like tickets being, so it will be, you need an NFT to get into Madison Square Garden to watch a Knicks game. I do think it gets there because there's no reason for, MSG and the companies not to incentivize that. So picture, best way I can describe it, imagine a Drake concert. He sells his front row seats for $1,000. Those resellers sell it for $5,000. If that's the case today, he doesn't get anything. But let's say he sets a 10% royalty on the NFT ticket for the front row. That person goes and resells it on the blockchain. He gets another, let's say it's 20%. He gets another $1,000 every single time it sells. There's no reason for him and Madison Square Garden or whomever it is not to be taking a cut of that. So I think that's inevitable. Trading card space, it's going to go more non-sport, I think. It's already going more vintage now, more superstar focused. I think the top % of like rookie prospecting is going to come down. People who know what I'm talking about will get it. But I think the space for collectibles is very, very bright. And there are tons of companies that didn't exist 10 years ago that are now worth $30 billion, or are raising in the billions that are, directly involved in this. Yeah.
What's the best card you own?
I have some high grade Derek Jeter rookies, some Giannis stuff, some really fun tickets. But my best items, period, I have George Washington acknowledging that he was in debt in his mid-20s. The only other examples in the Smithsonian I have.
Wait, what is it?
It's a handwritten document by Washington. It's a receipt for a bond. So
how do you get that?
I bought it in auction. Yeah, so the context on George...
This is like not my world, but it's so interesting.
Yeah, so George Washington was buying land in his mid-20s before he got more involved in politics, and he bought more land than he could afford. So he had to sell bonds to friends to cover his debts. And what I have is the full receipt of a bond that he was selling a friend for 16 shillings. I don't know how that factors into inflation, but it was a lot of money.
That's
like
so
16.
funny.
And then I have the highest graded Abraham Lincoln signature in the world on a document appointing the Postmaster General. I have Lincoln approving, war movements during the Civil War. Yeah, I love that stuff.
So do you have a room in your house that's like
not in my house?
Keeping...
I couldn't keep that stuff in my house.
Okay, where is it?
In a vault. Yeah.
But it has to be like a certain brightness and stuff, right? Yeah. Because it's so old.
Yeah, it has to be kept
I'm sorry,
in the dark.
I hope I'm not sounding...
No, you're not at all.
Stupid.
No, not at all. It always pains me to see when people have like original... I like movie posters and things like that too. Original ones that come outside the theater in like 70s, 80s, 90s of famous movies. Pains me when people keep them in a room with windows, because in 10 years they're not going to exist.
Right.
Yeah. So like things like that applies to the historical documents too.
So interesting.
Yeah. It's crazy. If I hold the Lincoln document that I have up to the light, the seal, you can still see the red in it from the seal stamp.
Yeah. But you don't do that often because you
don't.
don't.
But what's crazy about that one is, it was appointing the Postmaster General. And at the time, people don't realize that now, but that was a very important job when you don't have emails and texts. It's like being the head of text messages or the head of the internet today. It's
like they're the one who makes sure that the messages get
to anyone. From every important person in the world. Yeah, there was no Venmo. That's how money was got from place to place. So
are you going to sell them?
The goal is to never sell anything and open a museum one day.
Really?
Yeah,
okay.
That's one of my goals. Yeah. I want people to have access to it. And I want to build a, collection of everything that I'm passionate about, dinosaur fossils, everything, and just own it all. Yeah.
The Buster Museum.
Yeah, it would be great.
That's so cool.
One day. But I also make content with this stuff too. And like that's, become a big part of my brand. So
I love
it's a
that.
lot of fun.
Well, I love that on your podcast, we were going to talk about basketball and it turned into us talking about animals the whole time. And then on mine, I thought we were going to talk about basketball and social media, and we talk about Abraham Lincoln's like stamp of approval and signature.
Well,
I'm into it.
The best thing is always to talk to the people about what they're passionate about, because that's how you get the best out of them. So that's why we talked about cats and Abraham Lincoln. Sounds like we were pretty good.
What's up, guys? It's Rachel DeMita. Thank you so much for watching Courtside Club. Make sure that you like, rate, and subscribe to ESPN's YouTube channel and wherever you listen to your podcast. We have new episodes coming to you guys every single week, so stay tuned for that, and I'll see you soon.